What's happening, fam? John here from AF Anime, and in this video I'm going to be talking about an anime that is ripe for a live action adaptation. And this video actually marks a new playlist for this channel where I'm going to be talking about multiple anime properties that are extremely adaptable, at least in comparison to a lot of the anime that's out there. Now, I've been an anime fan for a long time and have seen a handful of adaptations that are, for the lack of a better term, just terrible. And there are multiple reasons for that, which I touched base on in a previous video about Netflix and their upcoming live adaptations. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a series I just covered in a spoiler-free review, which is called Baccano. And for the sake of making my argument here, there will be a small amount of spoilers in regards to Baccano's storyline, so if you haven't seen it already, do yourself a favor, go ahead and give it a watch. Moving along though, I want to talk about why Baccano is primed for an anime adaptation and why an attempt to do so would be relatively easy and probably successful given the failures of anime adaptations in the past. And I will start this list off with something that has bothered a lot of anime fans in terms of these adaptations, and that's going to be character portrayals. Now, character portrayals is something that is incredibly important to a proper adaptation, and as I mentioned in a previous video regarding the Netflix and their live action projects that they're working on, the character portrayals in live action adaptations are a bit difficult, especially when it comes to portraying Japanese archetypes into live action characters, especially to a Western audience. And despite the many talented actors and actresses out there, this also presents a bit of an issue for them in terms of going outside of their typical American or Western boxes to present Japanese archetypes in a way that is satisfactory to the original fan base of these anime or manga, as well as the random viewers who happen across their media. And this doesn't just pertain to the acting in particular. One example I can give you is of the Cowboy Bebop live action. A lot of people complained that Faye Valentine's outfit wasn't necessarily faithful to the source material. And to be quite honest, it's an incredibly sexualized outfit in the anime, and I can't imagine any actress wanting to portray themselves in that light on screen. Now, it's not to say that they should or shouldn't, but it can really go both ways, as many people can say that the character is too over-sexualized, and some fans will sit there and say that's kind of a part of her character in the first place. And to be honest, I really don't care about the whole outfit thing, but when it comes to Baccano in particular, that really wouldn't be a problem because none of the characters are sexualized in that way. And in regards to the whole personality archetype thing, Baccano actually could succeed very well in this because most of the characters are American or even Italian immigrants. So when it comes to the portrayal of these characters and their personalities, it could translate very well to a live action, especially when it comes to Western audiences. Now, to be clear, there are certain characters within the Baccano franchise who do have kind of Japanese archetypal behavior traits, and the main examples of this would be characters like Isaac and Miria, who are incredibly bubbly and jovial, but the way they depict themselves isn't necessarily along the lines of traditional Western characters. Same thing with the character Lad Russo, who is a bit homicidal and a bit eccentric when it comes to violence and death, but ultimately I think that these characters, extreme as they might be, could be properly portrayed by Western actors should they put a decent amount of effort into their roles. So to wrap up my point about Baccano and character portrayals, they would succeed where a lot of anime adaptations have failed, and with minimal effort. And this is because Baccano takes place within America, and at the same time it is based off of the mafioso world that was built in the 1930s. And the mafia lifestyle and era has already seen relative success when it comes to TV shows and movies. So when it comes to character portrayal, the subtleties of these characters' personalities should be fairly easy to pick up on for any actor who should take on such roles. And the next reason I want to talk about why Baccano would succeed where so many have failed is the proper portrayal of the fantastical elements. Now, when I talk about fantastical elements, I'm really referring to the things about anime that kind of cause a suspension of disbelief, especially to Western viewers. Like when you take Dragon Ball Evolution, for example, at the time, CGI was advanced, just not, as good as it is now. So doing things like fireballs, Kamehamehas, flying around, all of these things would have required a certain suspension of disbelief that would have probably alienated the average Western viewer who wasn't already familiar with the source material. Now, CGI has come a very long way, and when you take a look at something like the Marvel Universe, you think that the portrayal of these extreme components of anime and manga shouldn't be too difficult or too far-fetched. But trust me when I tell you that the extremes of Japanese anime and manga go so far beyond the comic book universe of the US, such as Marvel and DC, that CGI, even if it can accomplish just about anything that anime and manga could throw at it, it's still very likely that a lot of these things from anime and manga that we've seen before could come across as incredibly impractical. However, when it comes to Baccano, the CGI required would be minimal at best, as there isn't a whole lot of crazy fantastical things that we've seen from series like Dragon Ball or My Hero Academia or Naruto. So as I've said, the fantastical elements of anime and manga really would not be present here. It would present the opportunity for the creators of this series or this movie to properly portray the characters and their abilities and their quirks without having to really reach into a bag of goodies, so to speak. And when it comes to Baccano, this would make it relatively easy for the writers and creators to stay faithful to the source material and not piss off any of the original fans, as well as make it believable or not make it too fantastical for anyone who might happen across the series that isn't already an anime fan. So to sum that up, the proper portrayal of an anime or manga's fantastical elements can prove to be incredibly difficult when it comes to making a movie or show. But Baccano would not have that problem because its main focus is about its story and its characters. And aside from the characters who are immortal and how they attain that immortality, there really isn't anything fantastical or supernatural that would need to be covered here. So when it comes to the fantastical elements, Baccano would have nothing to worry about. And the next area that I want to talk about where anime and manga live adaptations have a lot of trouble is faithfulness to the source material. Now, when I'm talking about source material, one example I can give you where this went horribly wrong is Dragon Ball Evolution. Now, if you're an anime fan, even if you don't like Dragon Ball, I'm sure you know about the absolutely horrible reception this film received, especially when it comes to the hardcore fan base, as there were so many things that were taken out of context, so many creative liberties that were taken that messed up the storyline of Dragon Ball as a whole. I mean, you had characters who were missing like Krillin, we had settings that weren't conducive to the actual Dragon Ball storyline, such as Goku being in school. You have characters who should be dead being alive. You have characters who fought Goku as a kid, fighting him as a teenager. I mean, everything was just so jumbled up that it was hard for any Dragon Ball fan to thoroughly enjoy the series, even if the acting was good or the plotline was smooth. And there are many other adaptations that fail to stay faithful to the source material as well. But when it comes to Baccano, a writer or a producer or a director would have to go out of their way to screw this up. The only area of contention that I can think when it comes to being faithful to the anime is the pacing of the story and how jumbled it is in terms of jumping from time to time, place to place, and trying to mix it all by the end of the final episode. However, in this modern area, most likely if the series were to be released on a streaming service, it wouldn't be a week-to-week episode. It would have to be either in a cohesive movie or in a show or series that could be binged, so that way the fan base doesn't lose traction or interest when it comes to keeping up with all the crazy things that go down in this story. Now, as I've said in a previous video, Baccano the anime series is based off of an award-winning series of light novels, and I'm sure, since I haven't read them, that there are things that the anime had to leave out or they chose to leave out, or things that I myself am not privy to. So when I'm speaking about the faithfulness to the source material, I'm specifically talking about the anime and its potential for adaptation. So to summarize my reasons for why Baccano would succeed where so many live actions have failed, it's because whoever would be working on the project of a live action Baccano would have no issues and minimal effort in properly portraying these characters, these fantastical elements, and would be able to appeal to a broad spectrum of fan bases while maintaining a faithfulness to the source material. Now, in conclusion, Baccano is ripe for a live action adaptation because it's a great story with great characters. It has a small amount of martial arts, a small amount of supernatural elements, and a lot of intrigue in terms of the characters and how they interact with each other. And to be honest, whether they go the route of making a Baccano movie or a Baccano show, it's pretty much good to be written as either one. The intrigue and mystery and suspense that we get from the series could present a well-structured movie, but at the same time, if you wanted to flesh out the characters a little bit and build even more suspense and mystery, it could work incredibly well as a series. Not to mention that the series is based off of the mafia era of the 1930s and takes place within America. So when it comes to being appealing towards Western audiences as well as Eastern, it really shouldn't be too difficult to make everyone happy when it comes to properly portraying these characters and events. So there you have it, guys. That's going to do it for my video on why Baccano is ready for a live action adaptation and is probably going to be well received. So as I said earlier in the video, this is the start of a new playlist about anime and manga that is capable of being adapted to relative success. If you guys have any ideas or any experience with any anime or manga that is primed for a live action adaptation, definitely let me know in the comment section down below, and I will look into it. If not, flat out add it to this playlist. Thank you again if you made it all the way through the video. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content and want to see more like it. Once again, my name is John from AF Anime, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.